Okay, now we have the answers to the quiz game that was part of your homework assignment from very recently. So here's the answers, questions 1 to 10. Most of them are multiple choice. Question 1. Most women's pro tournaments, 2 out of 3 sets. So 2 sets to win, 3 sets you might have to play, but definitely 2 and win 2. That's typical in women's tennis. And in fact, in many of the men's pro tournaments, it's also the same. The men's Grand Slam and a few other tournaments, you have to win 3 out of 5. They're considering changing that because it's just getting to be very difficult on the players and their careers. Question 2. Is it okay to reach over the net with the racket in your follow-through if you've hit the ball on your side of the net? Yes. Yes, that is legal. Typically, you cannot reach over the net with your racket and hit the ball making contact on the other side. There are 2 exceptions to that, just so you know. One is if the ball bounces on your side and the wind pushes it back onto the other side, so you have to reach over to the other side to hit it. Or the second situation is if there's spin on the ball, backspin, which it bounces, and then instead of bouncing towards you, it bounces the opposite way. These are rare occurrences, but I've seen them happen, and sometimes people don't know what to do. So you can reach over on those occasions. However, you're still not allowed to touch the net with any part of your racket or the body or the court on the other side. If you do that before the point is over, you lose the point. You lose the rally. Question 3. First serve goes into the net on your side, you're serving. It drops onto your side of the court somewhat short, so you leave it there. The next point in the middle of the ball, your second serve goes in, it's returned, and that return by your opponent hits that ball and then goes out of play and you can't return it. What happens? You lose. If you leave the ball on the court, then if it's in the legal court area, it becomes part of the court, it's part of the ground. So as soon as that's hit, that counts as a bounce. If it hit the ball, bounced up high enough and you could return it, it's a playable ball. But usually if it does hit a ball on the court, you're not going to be able to hit it before it bounces a second time or just rolls away. That's the rules. Okay, question 4. Okay, if a short ball comes over, that is bounces in the middle of the court, bringing you forward, what is it best to do after you hit the ball? Do not return back and maybe move up a little bit closer. So definitely stay up closer to the net. The ball's bringing you there, closer to the net, you can be more aggressive, and you have to come in. You don't have time to return back, and you'll be in what we call no man's land. Okay, question 5. In singles, if you're at the baseline, what's the best strategy of where to hit it? Down the sideline? No, not if you're back. If you're back, there's 3 reasons why not to. First one is the net's higher on the sideline, about 6 inches higher than in the middle. Second reason is you have very little room for error because if you hit it a few inches just to the wrong side, it's out. Whereas if you hit the ball down the middle or across the court diagonally, the net is lower and you have much more room for error left and right. It'll still be in the court. And the third reason is because it's a longer distance if you go diagonally from one side of the court than if you go straight down the line. For you geometry buffs, that would be called the hypotenuse of the right triangle is longer than the leg. Okay, question 6. In doubles, if you're at the net, your opponent rips a shot right at you, really tough to just get back. You can't attack it. Where do you want to hit it? To the person who's deep or the person who's close? Hit it to the deep person. That's the safe shot, is in doubles, hit it to the deeper person. You're not trying to win the point. If you hit it up to the person close to the net, they can probably be aggressive, especially if you can't attack it. On the other hand, if they hit you an easy ball, deep person hits you an easy slow ball, it's up high, the person on their side who's at the net better watch out, because I would be aiming into those holes in between them or right at them, right at their feet or their hip perhaps. Because that's a good shot when you could be aggressive, but in this example you couldn't. So hit it to the deep person in this question. Question 7. True or false? One way to decide where to stand is to see where the ball goes after you hit it. True, yes. So you don't, I know we've seen some videos that say in general return towards the middle if you're at the back of the court hitting a deep shot. In general that's good, but with a little bit of variation. If you hit the ball a little bit towards the one side of the court, you're going to have to stand right about in the middle of where you think the ball is going to be returned. So if it goes to your left or the right, you can get there equally. If you stand exactly in the middle, it may not be a great idea. where you hit the ball, even if that wasn't where you intended, you have to pay attention to that, because that's going to determine where the person can hit the return. Then, of course, you have to just sort of guess and watch them and read their movements and all that. Question 8. Who is younger, Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer? Rafael Nadal by a couple of years, I think 2 or 3, I think, if I'm correct. So he's a little bit younger than Roger Federer is. Question 9. Which of these cities does not host one of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments? The correct answer to my question was Sydney. Sydney, Australia does not host the Grand Slam. There is a Grand Slam called the Australian Open. That's in Melbourne, Australia. Paris has Paris and London were the 2 other choices. So London has Wimbledon, Paris has the French Open, and the US Open is in New York City. Last question. Who has the most singles career titles? It's Martina Navratilova. Excellent career player, one of the all-time greats. Martina Navratilova. She defected from Czechoslovakia when it was a communist country in the 1900s, became a U.S. citizen, I believe. Chris Evert and Jimmy Connors are greats, but they have not achieved as many singles titles as Martina. You can see many of these people in the Tennis Hall of Fame, which is in Newport, Rhode Island, if you ever have a chance to go there. They have a grass court outside, and they do actually have tournaments there at least once a year. You can see it on TV. Anyways, here's your answers. See you next time.